Hi guys, this is Dr. Rajeshwar from YR Pharma Tube. In the last two classes, we discussed chemical reactions that reflect on the fats and oils containing carboxylic acids and alkene group. Watch them, I have given the links below this video in the description. In this video, we will learn the rancidity and drying of oils. Objectives of the lecture. After this video, you will understand how a fat or oil turns into rancid, types of rancidity, the factors that affect rancidity, and how to prevent rancidity. And finally, we describe the drying of oils and its various types. Coming to rancidity. The term rancidity is always associated with food products that contain oil and fatty acids. Rancidity is a very general term and refers to the spoilage of a food in such a way that it becomes undesirable and usually unsafe for consumption. When we say that food has gone bad, what we usually talk about is rancidity. Rancidification is the process of complete or incomplete oxidation or hydrolysis of fats and oils when exposed to air, light or moisture or bacterial action, resulting in unpleasant taste and odor. For example, butter, salad, cooking oils, mayonnaise and various fatty acids. Rancidity is mainly due to some of the factors or combination of reactions, which include number 1, air oxidation of alkene double bonds. Exposure to oxygen is the primary cause of rancidity. Oxygen is more soluble in fats, which leads to oxidation and food damage by releasing free radicals. Number 2, bacterial hydrolysis of ester groups. Several microorganisms release an enzyme which is called lipase that leads to the hydrolysis of lipids. This enzyme further acts on oils and fats. Lipase requires certain pH and temperature for it to react. And number 3, certain physical factors like temperature, heat and light that also play a significant role in rancidification. Heat and light are the major sources for the production of free radicals. Heat and light accelerate the process of oxidation. Oxidative rancidity. It is caused by the oxidation of unsaturated fatty acids at their double bonds with the formation of shorter chained acids, that is C4 to C10, aldehydes and ketones. Fats or oils are spontaneously oxidized by atmospheric oxygen at room temperature, during which oxygen molecules interact with the structure of the fat or oil and damage its natural structure in a way that can change its color, odor, taste and safety for consumption. Oxidation cleaves double bonds, with each carbon of the double bond being converted into a carboxyl group. The reaction takes place slowly and end result is the creation of low molecular mass, volatile, rancid taste and offensive smelling carboxylic and dicarboxylic acids. This type of rancidity or rancidification is called oxidative rancidity, and this is due to a reaction called autooxidation. Rancidity reactions typically occur in 3 steps, namely initiation, propagation and termination. This entire process is called as autooxidation. Autooxidation proceeds by a free radical mechanism in which the alpha methylene group is primarily attacked. A hydrogen atom is removed from an alpha methylene group and this initiates a chain of reactions leading to oxidation. You can see the reactions shown here. In the first step, that is initiation reaction, wherein oxygens are added to the unsaturated fat to produce a free peroxyl radical. In the second step, that is in the propagation reaction, the peroxyl radical combines with a new fatty acid to form a hydroperoxide. And in the third step, which is a termination reaction, is the formation of non-radical product. How to prevent rancidity? It is essential to prevent food products from rancidity to retain their desirable qualities. One of the simplest ways to prevent food products is to keep them away from direct contact with light and air. For this purpose, they can be stored in airtight dark containers. This helps prevent the formation of compounds with unpleasant tastes and odors. Another way is to keep fats and oils in refrigerator. In refrigerated conditions, the fats and oils rancidity occurs more slowly as the temperatures are maintained low. In addition, adding antioxidants is also an effective way to prevent autooxidation in foods containing fats and oils. Antioxidants can be either natural or synthetic. Natural antioxidants include vitamin C, E, flavonoids, and polyphenols. Sequestering agents like EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, that also prevent or slow down oxidation process and therefore can effectively prevent rancidity. Oxidative rancidity is observed more frequently in animal fats than in vegetable fats. This is due to the presence in the vegetable oils of natural antioxidants such as tocopherols, that is vitamin E, phenols, naphthals, etc., which check autooxidation. Vitamin E is therefore sometimes added to foods to prevent rancidity. Animal shortenings such as lard are nowadays protected against oxidative rancidity by the addition of synthetic or artificial antioxidants such as gallic acid and its esters like nor-dihydroguaric acid, that is abbreviated as NDGA, 3-tertiary butyl hydroxyl anisole, that is BHA, and dilauryl thiodipropionate. BHA is added to fats used in making potato chips because it withstands high temperatures. Thus, food products like potato chips and crackers are marketed in sealed colored cellophane bags to exclude air and injurious light rays which would hasten the development of rancidity. The action of antioxidants is opposed by a group of compounds present in the fats and oils. These accelerate the oxidation of parent compound are called pro-oxidants. Majority of these substances are formed during the processing and refining of fats. Among the noteworthy pro-oxidants are the copper, iron and nickel salts of organic acids like lactic acid, etc. Here is a test for oxidative rancidity. Oxidative rancidity is commonly detected by Crease test. The fat to be tested is treated with either fluoroglycinol or hydrochloric acid. Appearance of a red color indicates that oxidative rancidity has taken place. This test is due to the presence of epihydrin aldehyde, the structure has been shown here, which is one of the products of fat oxidation. The second type of rancidity is hydrolytic rancidity. This is caused by the hydrolysis and it is very common in fats like butter having a high percentage of volatile fatty acids. Triglycerides are a combination of 3 fatty acids that are generally present in oil foods. See the reaction given in which the triglyceride splits into glycerol and 3 molecules of fatty acids upon hydrolysis. When they react with water, they produce glycerol and release free fatty acids that are not suitable for consumption. These fatty acids may further undergo oxidative rancidification, forming toxic compounds. For example, when butter or other fats are stored, they often become rancid and hence unpalatable. Rancidity is also caused by the growth of microorganisms, which secrete enzymes called lipases. These enzymes split the fats into glycerol and free fatty acids. The fatty acids impart unpleasant odor and flavor to the fat. However, butter may be prevented from becoming rancid by refrigeration or by exclusion of water. Have you ever wondered why a bag of potato chips is always half full? It is because of a concept of rancidity. No food items can retain their desirable qualities for an extended period of time. They become spoiled by many chemical actions and rancidity is one such action. When food items containing fats and oils are exposed to air or moisture, they become spoiled. To prevent this spoilage in chips, nitrogen gas is flushed into the chip bags. Nitrogen is used in this case because it does not react with fats and oils. Now coming to drying of oils. Certain oils, when exposed to air, become thick and finally harden, creating a tough coating that protects surfaces but does not leave flexibility. They essentially transform from a liquid to a solid, providing a sturdy, durable finish to whatever surface you are applying them to. This effect is known as drying. It is of immense importance when these oils are incorporated into paints and varnishes industry. Probably, the drying effect involves the addition of oxygen to the unsaturated linkages present in the esters of the oil and also some amount of polymerization. In a simple example, vegetable oil is heated with glycerol to give monoacyl glycerol and then with phthalic anhydride. This produces an intermediate compound shown in the reaction which reacts further at its carboxyl group with another polyhydric molecule leading to compounds of high molecular weight. Finally, these undergo oxidative polymerization of the unsaturated acyl groups and this process is called drying. The drying or hardening process can be accelerated or catalyzed by the addition of dryers, alternatively known as secatives, such as cobalt salts of short chain acids, which promote oxidation by ultraviolet light or by the pretreatment of the oil to make it more easily oxidized or polymerized. The drying process continues after the film has hardened, leading eventually to flaking. According to the behavior, when exposed to air, the oils are divided into drying oils, semi-drying oils, and non-drying oils. Number 1. The drying oils. Drying oils are either natural or synthetic unsaturated fatty acids. Chemically, they are glycerides of linoleic and linolenic acids. When they are exposed to light or air, they become dry and spread into a thin film, becomes hard, tough and elastic. Quite a few popular drying oil finishes fall into this group including linseed oil, tung oil, poppy seed oil, perilla oil, hemp seed oil and walnut oil. A good drying oil dries within 4 to 5 hours. They are used as vehicles in paints, varnishes, lacquers and printing inks. Oxidized and polymerized linseed oil, commonly known as linoxin, which is a thick brownish elastic substance used in the manufacturing of linoleum, lincrust and oilcloth. Linseed oil is generally used as a laxative in veterinary medicine. In the drying of an oil, heat is generated. It frequently happens that oily rags generate enough heat to catch fire. Many disastrous fires have been caused by the spontaneous combustion of oily rags. Vegetable oil based inks incorporating materials from soybean oil, linseed oil, rapeseed oil, palm oil, and others have several benefits over the more traditional petroleum based products. The second type of drying oils are semi-drying oils. These oils possess low content of linolenic acid than that of the drying oils, while they have a high content of linoleic acid from that of non-drying oils. A semi-drying oil is an oil which partially hardens when it is exposed to air. This is as opposite to a drying oil which hardens completely or a non-drying oil which does not harden at all. Oils with an iodine number of 115 to 130 are considered as semi-drying oils. Examples of semi-drying oils are corn oil, cottonseed oil, sesame oil, grapeseed oil, etc. And the third type of drying oils are the non-drying oils. They largely consist of triolin. On exposure to light and storage, they become rancid. Actually, what happens that under the influence of microorganisms, the oil decomposes into glycerol and saturated or unsaturated fatty acids. The unsaturated fatty acids are oxidized into aldehydes, acids with fewer carbon atoms in the molecule, while the saturated acids decompose under the influence of microorganisms to form ketones. A drying oil is an oil which does not harden when it is exposed to air. This is as opposite to a drying oil which hardens through polymerization completely or a semi-drying oil which partially hardens. Oils with an iodine number of less than 115 are considered to be non-drying oils. Examples include almond oil, coconut oil, olive oil, peanut oil, tiger nut oil, etc. They are ideal for use in food, skincare products, sporting equipment, or to condition pliable materials such as leather boots. Whereas a drying oil would harden and lead to stiffness and cracking, non-drying oils keep leather buttery and supple. Some of the ketones, like methyl heptyl ketone, possess an unpleasant rancid odor. The acid decomposition takes place via the beta oxidation pattern shown in the reaction here. Here is the list of books that are referred for this lecture. With this, we end the topic of chemical reactions of fats and oils. Hope you have understood all the reactions explained. In the next lecture, we learn the analytical constants of fats and oils. Till then, never stop learning and never stop watching my videos. Thank you for watching this video.